20th consecutive year. ABC Sports presents the Pro Bowlers Tour. Today, the finals of the $100,000 King Louie Open as these 5 bowlers compete for the $13,000 first prize. In 5th place from Yuba City, California, seeking his first PBA title, Richard Martinez. In 4th place from Tucson, Arizona, last year's PBA Player of the Year, Webb. In 3rd place from Cottage Grove, Oregon, rejoining the Pro Bowlers Tour after a year absence, Steve Westberg. In 2nd place from Hayward, California, off to his best start in his pro career, Acosta. And our leader from Medford, Oregon, seeking his 3rd PBA title this year, Marshall Holman. The King Louie Open has been a favorite stop for all the pro bowlers over the years. One of the reasons for its popularity is the annual skating party, which is held here every Thursday night before the championship finals. The bowlers take a respite from their grueling schedule to spend time with their families and friends, as well as honing down their skating techniques. Marshall Holman is still learning how to stop. Lickstein is still trying to stand up on his own 2 feet. But even when the bowlers get a chance to get their minds off their game, there's always one in every crowd who's all business. Marshall Holman has invented a new game, ice bowling. Well, that was Thursday night. But we're here live in Overland Park for the $100,000 King Louie Open. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's all serious from now on. I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted to greet you from the King Louie West Lanes here in Overland Park, Kansas, suburb of Kansas City itself. Capacity crowd here. Along with you, we'll see an interesting field. There is infinite variety because we have 2 left-handers. We have 2 professionals that would like to become eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. We have a recent winner on the PBA Tour. And we have the PBA Player of the Year as well, along with the 2nd leading money winner on the tour this year, a great champion. Speaking of that champion, let's go to another one. My colleague, Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Thank you, Chris. On the PBA Tour, there are more than 100 players capable of winning titles. But this year, the tour has been dominated by just 3 men, Earl Anthony, Mark Roth, and the man that's with me right now, Marshall Holman. Marsh, what's the reason for the domination by the big 3?
Well, I can't answer for Earl or Mark, but I'm hungry this year, Bo, and I'm maybe making up for lost time last year.
Well, Marshall, the last 2 weeks you've been off a little in your game, and yet you dominated the field here. What difference did you make, or what change you make from the last 2 weeks?
I think I'm just a little more mentally fresh this week. I was a little stale. All that good bowling, you know, I get a little worn out, and I'm ready this week.
He says he's ready, Chris. With a victory here, he could catch Earl Anthony 3 victories in 81.
Okay, Bo, and Marshall looks ready, and the 4 others, they hope to stand in his way. So in our 15th year here at King Louie, the total purse is $100,000. The winner will get $13,000 today. The runner-up, or finishes second, $7,500, $5,500 for third, $4,500, and $4,000. But coming up right after these messages will be our first match. Exciting, Richard Martinez against Webb.
Compare dandruff shampoos. There's good, there's better, and then there's Blue. Selsun Blue, the best dandruff shampoo money can buy. Clinical testing proved it works best, with more complete dandruff control than any leading shampoo. Only Selsun Blue has the anti-dandruff ingredient doctors prescribe most. Remember, there's good, there's better, and there's Blue. Selsun Blue. It simply works the best.
America has become overly dependent on foreign oil. Suppose that foreign oil was cut back. To help control our energy future, we need to find and develop more oil, gas, other energy sources here in America. And we need to use less. If you'd like more information, it's available in the Energy Independence book, free from Shell. Shell believes there is an answer to our energy problems. It's to find more and use less.
You're looking at the enemy of your engine. Pounding, grinding wear. Motorcraft oil fights the enemy. Motorcraft Super Premium Oil reduces wear so well, no other oil has a higher rating. Motorcraft Oil, for the future of your car, for sure.
Back again live at the King Louie West Lanes, and our first match is about to get underway. Big Richard Martinez of Yuba City, California, 6'1", 225 pounds, looking for his first PBA victory. 26-year-older will be shooting first on the left lane, and his opponent is short Wayne Webb, the PBA Player of the Year. One of the two southpaws here in our field of 5, and the 6'10" left on the left lane, Bo.
A crashing 6'10" for Richard Martinez. We remember we had him on at the Quaker State. He lost the title match to Marshall Holman, so he's used to the television pressure now, and so he should be really tough.
And this year, Richard also finished 13th in Peoria, the AMF Magic Score Open. So, marking with a spare, 26-year-old pro who averaged 212 and is happy to be in the finals, finishing 5th. And now, our first look today at 5'5" Wayne Webb, 5 years, a member of the Professional Bowlers Association. He has 6 titles. Last year, he was tough. Leaving the 3, 6, 10 on the right lane.
Something we can watch for today is the outside line that the players are playing here at King Louie West. 19 and 20s are pair lanes. The left lane hooks a little more than the right, but the players have bowled on a very slick surface this week. There's more oil or more conditioner this week, and the players have opted for the outside line near the channel.
Using very little of the approach, 3, 6, 10. And the green bowling ball finds its mark. We said he was Player of the Year, and we asked Wayne if he had added pressure because of it.
Being the current Player of the Year, right at the beginning when I came out, there was a lot of added pressure, and it affected me a little bit, and now I've got my head together, I've calmed down, and now I'm starting to bowl real well again.
All right, living in Tucson, Arizona, a young 23-year-old who was born in Rehoboth, Massachusetts. Big, beautiful strike on the left lane. So now Martinez is up with a spare working, shooting in the second frame. This is our first game. Steve Westberg will meet the winner. Then Mal Acosta, winner of the semifinal, Marshall Holman. Troubles.
Chris, as you can see, the left-handers are playing the outside line also, but one thing I wonder if Wayne Webb was thinking about, he made Martinez finish on this right-hand lane. Look at this lane 20, the ball not coming up, getting a 5-count washout. Wondering if he would shy away from that ball return rack. That rack goes all the way to the foul line. We haven't seen that this year, and sometimes that outside shot, you shy away.
And earlier now, after that open frame, we talked to Richard and asked him what his chances were of winning.
The right side seemed to be a little bit tougher this week on this particular pair of lanes, so if I can get the ball to hook from the corner, I got a good shot to win.
And Chris, only one winner in 14 years here at the King Louie from the left side. That was Don Glover in 1969. So the lefties haven't fared that well.
All right. Now after that open frame, shooting in the third, trailing by 17. Oh, a sigh of relief. You can see the 6'1" big guy sort of blow out the steam, because that's his first strike in this important first match, and Wayne Webb has a strike up.
Wayne Webb also playing that extreme outside line. We've had a few of the players rolling off into the channel. You really have to watch.
Crossing over, leaving the 6, 9, 10.
Wayne Webb, short. He has that push away that Carmen Salvino made so popular. Locked arm swing, really one of the great arm swings in the game of bowling. Watch his elbow, never bends. A good, solid wrist action as he comes through.
Webb said he threw so many strikes this week that even though he missed 25 spares, he still made the telecast.
He has a great strike ball.
Wayne's third appearance on the Pro Bowlers telecast thus far this year, fourth in the Quaker State and Cleveland Open. And his first title came in 1978. And is he one of those, Bo, that at 23 years of age can be around a long time because of the way he's built?
Well, that's right, Chris. He's powerful. He's low to the line. And when you're short like that, you can be more accurate being close to the full.
Well,
now he's throwing it a little hard. As we said, the lanes are slicker this week, and the players have to reduce that speed. You can't just throw it down there, and it's had an effect on the top 24. We've had some new names in the top 24 we haven't seen before that like to go down the boards. Wayne Webb being a top star, he can adjust to most any condition.
so Wayne Webb from Tucson is leading by 14 pins through 4 frames. We'll be back.
I can tell a real cowboy from the drugstore kind, clean across Texas. The way he wears his hat will tell you. And the beer that you drink's a surefire giveaway, too. A lot of us drink light beer from Miller. We love the taste, but we surely appreciate that it's got a third less calories than the regular kind. You see, you don't want to be filled up when you're out there punching doggies. Ain't that right, cowboy?
I didn't punch that doggie.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
If you're into import pickups, check out Courier. Check out mileage. Check it out against competition. Check out options. Check out the fun. Check out payload. Check out engines for great gas mileage in one tough truck. Check out Ford Courier.
Some men have a dream that to others would be a nightmare. To race across nearly 700 miles of rough terrain, to endure 24 hours of torture, to survive the Baja 1000, plus American Cup gymnastics. And Bear Bryant begins his quest to become the winningest coach ever, next on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
That's today, right. Baja 1000 off-road race, America's Cup gymnastics. This is going to be a great afternoon, Bo, to learn more about Bear Bryant and the year that he hopes to break a record.
Chris, he's got 306 now. He needs 8 to tie Amos Stagg for the all-time record. And
from Brooklyn, Joe Verardi. He is the alternate. Good to see him getting near the top 5.
Chris, what a finish he put on. He's rolled a 267 game in his last game to just miss qualifying by 12 pins. A great finish.
Martinez now. He's shooting in the 4th frame. Boy, a strike here would cut the lead to 4 pins.
He's got half a chance.
All but the 7.
The loquacious big guy said it had a chance. He left a solid 7 driving that 4 right around, which would have cut the lead to 4 pins. You know, the 7 pin's a little easier for the left-hander on this lane, but when he leaves it on the left-hand lane with that ball return racking away, sometimes he is affected by the rack. It'll be interesting if he makes this one or leaves one on the other lane.
Richard is mic'd. All the players have the option about wearing the wireless microphone or not, and Richard opted to do it.
Richard, one of 2 players not eligible for the Firestone in our finals field. He hasn't won, and Steve Westberg, because he is not a touring pro, although he's won twice, is not eligible. He would have to win to get back in.
Oh, that's real good.
We heard the real good comment. Silence right now because we have the 247.
I think he was just jesting with himself. He definitely pulled that ball. He's playing that outside line around the first area. He pulled that to about the 9th board, and he left the 247. Now watch when he goes cross lane. See if the ball return rack or he kicks it.
Thanks.
Really kicked the return left to 7.
And I think he threw him off on that shot. He said thanks as he let go of it. Now watch this chop it off. 2-4 off the 7. But it's just sometimes kicking that rack that can throw you off. Wayne Webb, benefactor of that Open, now leads by 28.
5th frame, first game. Winner to meet Steve Westberg, then Mal Acosta, and then Marshall Holman. A high hit at 3-6-10.
What's happening to Wayne is the right-hand lane is tighter by nature. Here's a low angle, that ball cutting right through. Watch the 3-6-10 on the right side of your screen. The 3 that are left, 7-pin just barely gets out. What I'm saying is the right-hand lane is much tighter, and Wayne Webb is not giving it the room on that lane. And with that big hook he throws, he won't get it to stop at the pocket.
As we see Wayne Webb here, and we see the difference in pins, 25, lead held by Webb. He checks out 2 spots.
Yeah, he draws a line right at the foul line, and once way out the line. The only other great player I can remember spotting right at the foul line was the great Glenn Allison, who lives in Los Angeles. The only player that had 2 spots like that was Don Carter.
Well, didn't get the break that he wanted, leaving the 4-pin, and here's a replay of the hit.
Watch the head pin go to the sideboard on the left and try to get between the 4 and 7 and knock it out. That's the 7, but not the 4. When a player can trip that one out, he is really tough to beat.
So it's a spare here in our first game for Wayne Webb, who now, along with you, can watch 26-year-old Richard Martinez of Yuba City, California.
Oh, another pull shot. Yeah.
And he pulled another one across, leaving the 4-pin. The hardest thing for a player to do, especially under pressure, is to slow that feed down and come through very smooth. Richard staying slow at the start and then charging the line the last 2 steps and pulling the ball. From that outside line, it makes it much tougher.
Oh, look at this.
In other words, when he said, oh, look at this, he thought he was going to blow it.
And here's Richard just knocking the 4 off very gently. Well, he's not out of the match, Chris. He trails by 24.
Loser of this match gets $4,000, but if the winner can continue winning, including the final match, it'd be $13,000. Demonstrative Richard Martinez with a big strike. We'll be back.
We are very proud of you, Peabody.
Thank you, sir.
Your design of the Firestone 721 is brilliant.
Well...
A tire using 7 around 2 wrapped by 1? Genius.
Oh.
24 million on the road, Peabody. And we're grateful.
Chief,
Just one more thing.
Sure.
Now, Peabody, we want you to top it.
Top it?
The Firestone 721. It's one tough tire to top.
Every professional bowler has an arsenal of his own, special weapons for special lane conditions. Now, you can have your own arsenal in just 2 bowling balls from AMF. The AMF 3-Dot Classic in hard rubber for normal lane conditions. And now the AMF 3-Dot Classic in soft rubber for lanes that demand more traction. Hard rubber 3-Dot, soft rubber 3-Dot. The arsenal from AMF.
Hi, I'm Palmer Fahlgren. Next week, the Pro Bowlers Tour travels to Miami for the finals of the $130,000 True Value Open. I won that tournament last year, and next week I'll be trying to make it 2 in a row. So join ABC Sports for live coverage of the championship round next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time.
And for the 2nd year, True Value is our sponsor, and we look forward to seeing Don Carter in Miami. And Palmer Fahlgren, the defending champion, took the week off, first stages of pneumonia. And Larry Lickstein is our statistician today.
And Larry was in the opening, skating down the ice. Wayne Webb leads by 24, spare working.
Beautiful. All in green, including the bowling ball.
Chris, Wayne Webb showing his experience. Watch this perfect strike he gets inside. As we said before, there are 2 shots you can use on this pair of lanes, inside and outside. The players that made the top 5 all were playing the outside line, but the experience of Wayne Webb showed on that moved inside. In fact, as I recall, nobody has ever won this tournament playing outside except Ernie Schlegel last year.
Wayne won $116,700 last year. Number one. High hit, avoids the split, the 6-10.
As we said, the left-hand lane hooks more, and especially when you move inside, the true characteristic of a lane shows up. Watch this ball cutting through very sharply, the 4-pin just barely going out. But when you move inside the track area, which is more and more on the left-hand lane, he'll have to make a bigger adjustment. But I think he's made the right move. The inside shot looks good.
Anxious moment or two at the line, but covers and has a spare in the 8th frame. Continues to lead here in our first game at the King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas. 24-pin lead. Martinez trailing. So the lead now with the double has been cut to 14 pins. There you see it.
Martinez threw himself right back in the match with that shot. A double, one more strike, he could cut Wayne Webb's lead to just 4. And Martinez has a characteristic that all good players have. When they get a strike working, they usually throw their best shot right after it. He left a solid 7-pin in the 4th frame and got a solid strike in the 8th for the double.
Big 9th. Leaving the 5 after that crossover.
Well, from that outside line, when you get a little excited and pull it, you can go all the way over. One of our players this week, Frank Ellenberg, made the cut by sliding over the 5 into the 6, and he saw it. He just hoping for a lucky break. Sometimes you carry that hit, but not to be today.
Body English didn't help. All right, it's a spare in the 9th frame and a 15-pin lead by Wayne Webb here in our first match. The winner to meet Steve Westberg.
The reason Wayne takes a little extra time sometimes getting up there is he has some rosin he puts on his thumb and he walks back. You're not allowed to have it in the player's bench area so it doesn't get on the approach, so he's forced to keep it behind the settee area. And right before he takes his shot, he goes back and puts some on his thumb.
Didn't like it, leaving the 10.
A solid 10, 4 6-pin flying right around it. Wayne changing to a newer surface ball for the spare, one that's very slick and shiny to slide the ball farther down the lane. It's easier to control a straight ball at spares than the big hook.
Okay. 14 pins separating these two professionals. We're in Overland Park, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City, historical Kansas City.
Wayne Webb has to get 17 in the 10th frame combination count to shut out Martinez. The best Martinez can do is 188 with 3 strikes. Webb going at a 192 pace. But he must mark.
Running that one out.
And that was the winning shot. Best Martinez can do is 188. Wayne Webb has the match in hand. Needs just 7 pins on 2 balls, but more importantly, he has made the proper move. This pair of lanes is usually good for the inside shot for right-handers, and Wayne Webb has moved there.
Experience showing here in our very first match is 5 professionals in the finals. Let's pause a few moments to hear these messages from some of the people who bring you Pro Bowlers Tour.
The Pro Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Light Beer. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. By AMF, makers of Magic Score, the automatic scoring unit. This weekend, why not take a friend bowling? And by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the new 1981 Ford cars and trucks, including Escort, the new world car from Ford.
All right, coming up next, Wayne Webb, the winner of our first game against Steve Westberg. The Pro Bowlers Tour will continue after this message from one of our sponsors.
What this country needs today is a really good rental truck at a really good price. So Ryder presents the $19.95 a day truck. For local rentals, this 18-foot Ryder truck is now only $19.95 a day plus mileage. And Ryder has great rates on other size trucks too, from small vans up to giant tractors. What this country needs today is a really good rental truck at a really good price. Ryder.
STP, a big name in racing for nearly 20 years. STP oil treatment on the track in some of the world's most expensive engines. Around the track, around the world, every day, tens of thousands of people get STP oil treatment. Get it for your car, satisfaction guaranteed. Around the track, around the world, STP oil treatment is #1.
Life-saving drugs is America behind the times. Monday on ABC's World News Tonight.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Oh, the movie's for next week. Dark Command. You remember that movie? Neither do I. And 5 Golden Dragons. So until we do it next week, I'm gonna split right now.
Seconds count in a poison emergency. The victim's recovery or even survival may depend on your first reaction being the right one. Would you know what to do? Call 779-6667, the Providence Poison Center hotline, where you can get immediate first aid information and emergency help for any poison or drug overdose emergency. Be prepared in a poison emergency and keep our number 779-6667 near your phone.
You're watching KOBI 5M Medford.
On the Pro Bowlers Tour telecast, with 4 strikes, Wayne Webb has eliminated Richard Martinez 201 to 176. And now Webb will go against another left-hander named Steve Westberg. 6-footer, 180 pounds. There he is on the right, 31 years old, from Cottage Grove, Oregon.
On this pair of lanes during the tournament play, the lefties did have an advantage. The left-handers averaged 225 on this pair of lanes and the righties 199. But remember, most of the righties were playing that outside line that we saw Wayne Webb struggle with. Now he's moved inside.
Look at that address and move to the line. Oh, soft, but got the job done. Steve Westberg. Now Webb, only 4 strikes. But he probably learned a lot in that victory. He'll shoot on the right lane first. Well, there it is.
Well, Chris, he just hit his angle coming through. You know, a lot of times you play that outside line and you get used to pulling the ball up from the outside line. He moves inside, and all of a sudden his swing goes inside out. He hit his ankle. Last time I remember that happening was Paul Caldwell when he needed a strike to tie Dave Davis in the national championship, and he came back and made the spare. Let's see if he can recover it. He can still make the spare. It's good as 9 if he can make it.
Wayne Webb took it with a smile, a touch of embarrassment, but all right.
He's getting him some experience. I know he's the bowler of the year, but I haven't seen that happen to anybody in a long time. Great comeback.
And he believes in comfortable shoes. That is not a new pair of gold shoes he's wearing. Leave the 2-4-5 on the left lane.
Well, it's really hard to get out of your mind the idea of your ball hitting your ankle. It's not that it hurts the pros so much. They do it a lot because their swings are so close to their body. But once you do it for 2 or 3 frames later, you have a tendency to bump your swing out and don't get the proper leverage. That's what happened on Wayne's last shot.
That close-up makes it look very easy. So it's 2 spares for winner of the first match, Wayne Webb. He won it 201 to 176 over Richard Martinez. Now, Steve Westberg, 31 years old, making a comeback on your tour, Bo.
All right, he quit for a year. He's coming back. Looks good.
Well,
most of these players are playing that outside line because the lane's hooked back very sharply at night here, and yet these lanes are not that dry right now, so you have to really trust the ball and throw it slow. You can't just send it out and hope it'll come back.
1, 3, 6, 7. Nope, an open frame. We mentioned Steve being absent for a year. Why he left and why he came back.
Well, I quit because my oldest boy started school last year, and I felt that it was more important to be with my family than it was to be out here. But when I went home to try and find a job, it was somewhat unsuccessful, so I had to come back out just to make a living.
Didn't resume until the Miller High Life Classic this year. And oh, what's greeting him here on the telecast.
Wide open. What has happened is the lane's being tighter or slicker. The ball has to be pointed up, cutting right through, leaving the big 5. When the lanes are slicker and you have to play that outside line, you have to start it up. There's no hold area on the PBA Tour or anything to stop the ball like in some house conditions. So you have to make good shots.
Well, that crowd came alive seeing that near conversion. So now 22-pin lead by Wayne Webb. Coming up high, 3-6.
Chris, Wayne, a little conscious of his spare shooting. Last year he said he had some trouble and it's really improved it this year. And so far today, he has not missed a spare. He's been right on and he's left some tough ones. So you can see improvement in that player's game.
Wayne Webb, the defending Firestone Tournament of Champion. Last year, in addition to that championship, won at the Showboat Invitational and the Kessler Classic. Has the lead now by 21.
From that inside line, Wayne should hit the left lane the best.
All right, there'll be no action here at the King Louie West Lane. A 20-pin lead by Wayne Webb.
You're at the wheel of America's most popular sports car, Mustang.
Gonna drive some hot stuff, baby, this evening. Gonna drive my Mustang, baby, tonight.
Mustang. Engineered for seat-of-the-pants response with rack and pinion steering. Mustang, a car that bites when cornered. Precision-tuned. Mustang turns high mileage into Mustang. From the world of better ideas at Ford.
How do you grow a great cigar? Master planter Ralph Merrill knows. Plant special Dutch Masters tobacco seedlings in a fertile valley. Control the searing sun with clouds of special cloth. And wait. Now select only the best leaves and harvest them all by hand. That's how Ralph Merrill grows a great cigar. Like the Dutch Masters Panatella. There really are masters and Dutch Masters.
Our 11th stop this year on the Professional Bowlers Tour is in Overland Park, Kansas. We're at the King Louie Open, the 15th time that we have come here in our 20-year history. Steve Westberg. It's great to see him making his first appearance. He's had a lot of trouble, trailing by 20, shooting in the 4th frame after an open. Still problems.
And you see that shot, that outside line hanging right out near the channel. At nighttime, or earlier in the tournament, before the lanes were as slick as they are today, excuse me, that ball would come back. Now here's a good profile. He thinks he's got a strike here. He just rolls the ball. He's not a cranker. Down the left edge.
Well, that's happened here this week. Back-to-back opens.
Well, he's really in trouble. You have to just roll the ball smoothly. There's the thumb and the rosin bag of Wayne Webb. You have to roll the ball smoothly and trust it when lanes are slick like that. You just can't pull the ball up to the head pin.
Bo, you talk about the slickness of the lanes, slickness of greens and golf, perhaps a shorter backswing and putting. And notice here everyone's got a short one.
And that's a characteristic, Chris. You're very right. When the lanes are slick, shorten that backswing. When the lanes are dry or hooking a lot, increase the height of the backswing.
In other words, a premium on accuracy.
Definitely. On slick lanes, you're not going to have the area to spray the ball around. You have to be much more accurate. You have to depend on making a lot of spares, as Wayne Webb has done today. He has only had 5 strikes, which is not a characteristic of Wayne Webb, and yet he's won his first match and leads by 31 here.
First match 201 to 176 over Richard Martinez. Well, now his lead increased to 41 pins.
That'll make everybody in the Wayne Webb family happy. His dad has bowled a 300 game. His brother Bill has bowled 300, Chris, and his brother Roy, who is recuperating in the hospital. Wayne said he'd like to win this tournament for him today, has also bowled a 300 game.
Wayne Webb, one of the 4 players who have been in all 11 events.
The True Value, Palmer Falgren, the Fairlanes, and Mark Roth has just told me he'll be there this year. Earl Anthony will be there, and Marshall Holman, so that should be a big one in Baltimore.
And in our 5 more stops on our winter tour here on ABC, the Long Island Open, Garden City, April 11th, the Greater Hartford Open in Windsor Locks, the 18th, and then to Akron for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Here's a man that would like to become eligible, but trailing by 40. 4-pin.
See what happens when the lane gets slick and no hold spot or no heavy buildup of oil in the center of the lane. When you point the ball up, it will not stop. You have to follow the normal trajectory of the lane, and what he should do is just slow the ball down or turn it with a little more hook. But his natural style is just to throw it slower.
Steve Westberg, father of 2, Sean and Richie. His hobby is photography, and the pictures he's seeing today he doesn't like.
Well, Wayne, Steve had dropped off the tour to get a job at home, and the reason he's not eligible for the Firestone, even though he won 2 tournaments, is he did not stay Touring 1 Pro. If he retains his Touring 1 membership this year, he could again be eligible for the Firestone.
It's 3-6-7 on that left lane, Steve Westberg. Don't blame him for shaking his head.
No, we've seen some low games bowled this year on the PB Tour, and one of the reasons is a urethane finish they have on the lanes. When you place oil at the front part to keep the lane from hooking too much or too soon, it often carries down to the back end and makes the lane very tough.
Another open frame in the 7th. And Wayne Webb out to a commanding 55-pin lead.
Working late again, Mr. Peabody?
Afraid so, Rose.
You were the genius who designed the Firestone 721 tire.
That's my problem. They want me to top it.
Top it? But isn't the 721 what they call a winner?
Oh, sure. It's got 7 around 2 wrapped by 1. There's 24 million on the road, you know.
And you're gonna top that, Mr. P?
Well,
The Firestone 721. It's one tough tire to top.
This is clear, solid lucite. Tough, durable, made by DuPont to last. Wouldn't it be great if a paint gave you this? Lucite wall paint does. The same basic ingredient in solid lucite is a key ingredient in liquid lucite. So it's tough, durable, made to wash easily, made to last. Lucite, the long-lasting paint based on a solid idea from DuPont. Now save $3 to $5 or more on lucite at participating stores.
Shooting in the 8th frame now after the 7th, Wayne Webb. And leaving the 2-4-5.
He has the match well in hand, but before we went on the air, I asked King Louie's touring pro, Steve Neff, a lot about this pair of lanes because he knows them very well, and he said the right-handers usually win when the shot is inside. Wayne Webb has made that move inside. He says the lefties have a better chance when all the righties have to stay outside, so I think Webb has outsmarted everybody so far.
Well, that open frame coming in the 8th, and the lead is cut to 36, 127 through the 8th.
It's rare that we see all the players struggle to such an extent, but part of it is just not trusting the ball. They have to roll at medium speed. They've been bowling on fairly dry conditions most of the winter, and they're used to throwing it hard, and they have to slow it down in this condition.
Frame strike for Steve Westberg, the 31-year-old, getting his second strike of the match.
Westberg, although he looked like he was out of the match, completely lost, trailing by 49 at one time, can now cut that lead with a strike here in the 9th to just 28 pins. He's not over yet.
Good tip for everyone. Never give up.
Especially for the big money.
Mm-hmm. Well, the 1, 3, and 6.
Well, that's a terrible feeling when you're out there. You almost don't even think about the money sometimes. You just, the embarrassment, but he's in trouble. He knows it. And Nelson, what did you finish, 11th here? I think 13th, Chris.
13th? I was trying to up you 2 brackets.
Yeah.
Next week, though, you're not going to go for the money. You're going to go for the awards, right?
Yeah, hopefully down in Memphis.
ABC Hall of Fame inductee Nelson Burton Jr. Great honor.
Thank you.
Great strike. Foundation strike in the 9th. 38-pin lead for Wayne Webb, and if you just join us, he won the first match in a low-scoring effort, 201 to 176 over Richard Martinez. Now he is bowling Steve Westberg, winner to meet Mal Acosta, whom you saw on TV a few weeks ago in victory. Then Marshall Holt.
This is going to be one of our lowest scoring matches, but Wayne Webb has won. The best Westberg can do is a 159 game. No matter what Webb does, he'll be the winner.
That's some big, great bowlers have had low scores this year, though, including Earl Anthony and Mark Roth.
That's right.
All right. We're going to return to the King Louie West lanes here at Overland Park, but first, this pause for this message.
And all the time I've been hauling new cars, I've never seen anything like it. Quaker State's new lifetime engine lubrication protection program. Use Quaker State, and you can get protection that guarantees your new car engine against oil-related failure. The engine, as long as you own it, in writing. It's guaranteed by Quaker State. The quality motor oil. Refined from Pennsylvania-grade crude oil.
New car or old, you'll be staying on the road with Quaker State.
It's Hardware Week at True Value Hardware stores. Your chance to take advantage of the values featured in their Hardware Week circular. Like this True Value sports cap, now just $1.99. And these True Temper garden tools for just $4.99. Choose True Test Select wall finish and white ceiling paint, just $7.98 a gallon. General Electric frosted bulbs, 4 for $1.19. And Red Devil lifetime caulking, just $1.99. At participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
My name is Mike Withers. I'm a State Farm insurance agent in Rockland, California, speaking for thousands of State Farm agents all over the country. We have various reasons why we think State Farm has maintained a reputation and people keep coming back to us year after year. My personal belief is that it's the service. We deliver when the policyholder has a problem. We sell on that basis and we deliver on that basis, and people keep coming back.
State Farm is there.
Again, Wayne Webb with only 4 strikes, shot a 187 to Steve Westberg's 136. Disappointing for Westberg, as Webb now goes against Mal Acosta. And next at 5 Eastern and Pacific, the Baja 1000 off-road race. It's sheer excitement. beauty and grace of gymnastics, the America Cup competition. That's on Wide World of Sports next here on ABC. And next on the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast, 28-year-old Mal Acosta, who finished second. After 42 games now, will go against Webb, who has the experience of 2 victories under his belt. And let's see how Acosta will do after being off to the right, occasionally practicing. He's the tall, lanky right-hander, 6-footer, 150 pounds. Still practicing. He's a native of Hayward, California. This is his second appearance.
Chris, he is one of the great, what we call gutter shooters or outside players. So let's see if he can overcome this slick surface on the outside and give Wayne Webb a run for his money. Wayne Webb will start the match. He'll stay inside. Mal Acosta, the extreme outside line. We have a chance to see another channel shot here, much like Webb had.
There are Wayne's 2 victories. Opening strike in his 3rd game here on our live coverage from Overland Park, Wayne Webb. Mal Acosta, qualified number 2 for today's championship round. He won the Cleveland Open, and he did it by defeating Marshall Holman 235 to 170. Won $13,000 that Saturday afternoon. All but the 10.
And he made a really good pass at it. He kept that ball way on the outside there, and that's the way you have to play that shot. Not many players on the tour play it as proficiently as Mal Acosta. The one problem would be if you pull it. Of course, if you miss a little to the right, what they call the gray board out there, and that's 0.
Started on the tour 4 years ago at 24 years of age. 1 victory. Cross lane now for the 10. Okay, we commented earlier to Mal about his best start ever, and we asked him why.
I've improved this year because I've paid a little more attention this year. I've practiced a little harder, been a little more selective in the equipment that I've used, and a little more experience out here this year.
And he's been a little more selective. I think that's been the important thing. He's changed hard ball, soft ball, rubber ball, whatever the surface calls for.
Leaving the floor on the left lane, a lanky professional bowler uses all of the approach in his shots.
2 really good shots. When the natural characteristic of a lane shows up, you know you're bowling well. He knows the left lane hooks a little more than the right. He had a 4-pin on that. The right-hand lane, he left the weak 10, but he's definitely in the ball game.
Last year never finished in the top 5, but averaged $1,000 a week.
That's steady bowling.
Takes very little time, knows what he wants to do, and delivers a stroke. And here's Wayne Webb, who uses much less of the approach. Beautiful strike. Booming double. And you know, Wayne Webb's opponent is Mal Acosta, who won the California Junior Masters Championship in 1970. And our Rolaids tip of the week today, Nelson Burton, will be tips for junior bowlers. It's so important to help the juniors along.
The formative years, that's the time to learn a game. Wayne Webb has 11-pin lead, can extend to 21.
Leaving the 10, and Bo, further pat on the back for bowlers, I think, is the fact that professional golf now is realizing that they should help the juniors. Just this week, I did a charity junior thing with Nicholas, Watson, Trevino, and Ballesteros. Is that a foursome?
That's a great group.
Trying to raise money to help junior golf.
Well, that is good. I know your friend Byron Nelson is also very influential with the young people.
Yes, he is. Well, it's a double and a spare for Wayne Webb, who has won 2 matches, now in the semifinal against Mal Acosta.
Wayne Webb a little skeptical on that last shot, Chris. If the lane hadn't been quite as slick, he'd have gone right by that one.
What rotation on gleaming bowling ball and just a picture stroke.
It's amazing what a little confidence will do for you. Acosta just won 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, defeating Marshall Holman in a title match. He's got his confidence now, and he's making great shots. Those last 3 balls he threw were excellent. He can even the match with another strike here.
High hit, leaving the 3-6 on the left lane.
Accuracy is a must, especially when the lanes are slicker, Chris. You said the shorter backswings, and I agree. But the one problem you can have is when you pull the ball. All the players today have not been missing to the right. They've been missing to the left, or pull shots. Wayne Webb has had no real pressure applied to him by any of the 2 players he's bowled, and Acosta's the third.
All right. For Acosta, it is a spare in the 4th frame. 10 pins separating the 2.
When our band's cooking, the music smokes. But not me, because like a lot of my friends, I use Skoal smokeless tobacco. I just take a pinch of that good tasting wintergreen flavored Skoal between my cheek and gum, and it gives me real tobacco pleasure without ever lighting up. So when you want something that smokes, listen to the Charlie Daniels Band. But when you want real tobacco enjoyment without smoking, try Skoal. A pinch is all it takes. Thank you. We appreciate it.
At Portugal, gasoline is $3.34 a gallon. And the best-selling spark plug, Champion, eh?
In Singapore, where gasoline is $1.70 a gallon, Champion is #1.
In Italia, we pay $3.42 for a gallon of gas. And Champion is numero uno.
Champions are #1 in the USA, too. And a tune-up with Champions can save an average of 1 to 2 gallons per tank full.
Save with Champion Spark Plugs, the world's #1 seller.
Our live coverage continues. The finals, the King Louie Open. Wayne Webb, who won the first 2 matches, defeating Martinez 201 to 176, and then Westberg 187 to 136, is going against Acosta, leading by 10, shooting in the 4th frame with a spare up. Just didn't come up, leaving the 2 and sleeper 8 on the right lane. Here's Webb, who last year was the leading money winner. Most titles won, most points, most games bowled. This year he's won 16,009. If he can win this match and then the match against Marshall Holman, it's another 13. Got them both. And speaking of Marshall Holman, he's with my colleague, Bo Burton.
Thank you, Chris. Marshall, what is happening out there? Are these players just bowling bad, or is the lanes a little too slick for them?
The lanes have definitely tightened up, Bo, but, you know, you got to trust the ball out there. I'm going to go out there and make some good shots, and hopefully I'll make them look easy.
You think the players are just making bad shots on tough lanes?
Not completely bad, but the lanes are tough, and I think they could make a little better shots, but we'll see what happens.
Marshall thinks he can win it by being better, Chris.
Well, as Harry Golden, our tournament director, says, waiting in the wings and tough to beat. Marshall Holman indeed, but Wayne Webb looks strong there with that great pocket hit in the 5th frame. And now Acosta is up, still close, 8 pins, spare working, shooting in the 5th. He won in Cleveland, defeating Holman. Very little facial reaction from this 28-year-old.
Watch this ball cut right through the pins. It'll actually drive through the 5 and the 8. Look at that. That's a perfect strike.
And now he can take the lead.
Wayne Webb, every time, has sat on the bench and watched his opponent made a mistake at this point in the match. Let's see what Acosta can do. If he can strike, he can take a 2-pin lead.
See doubles out here today, and here's one in the semifinal game and the lead.
Look at the reaction. Look at those eyes. He knows it's a great shot. But it's just like Marshall Holman said in that interview. He thinks the lanes are tough, but the players have not been making good shots. You have to play good to score good.
And now Wayne can regain it with a strike here. Great match going here. The first two were a little slow, low-scoring matches, but now Acosta and Webb.
The very tough Rich Gruber right up there. Gip Lentin, his brother, plays for the Detroit Tigers. Jim is up there. Jeff Morin, who was on our telecast earlier this year, 9th. Matt Serena, steady. Frank Ellenberg, who is working with us all the time. Dave Frame finished 13th.
Look who's 12th.
Well, another lucky week. Steve Wunderlich from St. Louis, who really looks good. He had a 300 this week. Bruce Carter, a rabbit who made it up there. Donnie Fowler, our president, George Pappas, steady and tough as usual in 17th. Mike Miller up there. Dave Beckman, he's a powerful and in good shape. Dave Macy is a steady Midwestern player from this tough Midwest. Dan Gezzi, Tom Kohler, and my old buddy Norm Myers, who is the king of the tough Midwestern region in the regional tournaments, 24th.
Double working, shooting in the 7th frame, semifinal game. Great pressure now, put on by both players. And Acosta is up. He has a double working. He'll be shooting in the 7th frame. What a match.
And you had the right word there, matched. Scores don't count anything. You just have to defeat your opponent. These are two great match game players, and Wayne Webb, when the pressure was applied to him, has come to life.
Have 3 in a row.
The advantage of that outside line. Watch the 6-pin. The left on the right side of your screen drive right into the 10. Mal Acosta can once again take the lead.
Outside and never came up.
Well, that's the problem with that outside line. I believe we have never seen before, I think, on our telecast, the 1-2-4-6-10. Watch how sharp this ball breaks at the back end. Cuts right through, taking the 3-pin out from the 6-10. There's two schools of thought on how to shoot this. Across lane, like the washout, trying to drive the 1 in the 6-10, or right into the original pocket. Let's see how he tries.
Crossing over. Tough break, hitting the 1-6-10. And
It's amazing how quickly a disastrous open like that can change the match. Wayne Webb is now sitting in the driver's seat. There's 3 in a row working, a 29-pin lead.
A 4-bagger for Wayne Webb, the PBA Player of the Year.
Wayne now has a 39-pin lead, and he can really shut out Mal Acosta. Mal Acosta, the best he can do is 218. Webb is working at a 227 pace right now.
And if he keeps it up, his opponent in the final match will be Marshall Holman. After only 4 strikes in each of his first 2 victories, he now has a 5-bagger here, opened with a double.
And you can see that powerful ball. Watch the head pin go to the sideboard and take out the 4, 5, and 7. Tremendous power. And this week we're using 3-pound, 6-ounce, 3-pound, 7-ounce pins, a little heavier than we've seen before, but yet Wayne Webb can still handle them.
3, 6, 10 on the right lane.
It's like my father always said, Chris, you can never battle the characteristic of a lane. The true characteristic of this pair of lanes for right-handed bowlers is inside. Wayne Webb so far has defeated 3 players playing the proper line.
All right. Bo mentioning his father, Nelson Burton Sr., a member of the American Bowling Congress Hall of Fame. And now the son goes in this week.
Well, the whole family's going down there. We should have a great time.
What did your dad say to you, do you think?
I don't know. He probably...
I taught you properly, right?
I imagine.
He'll be proud. Mom will be happy too, right?
You're right. The best Acosta, Chris, can shoot is 197. It's going to be Wayne Webb against Marshall Holman. Marshall Holman never has been bowler of the year. He